Welcome back to Great Ace Attorney. Last time, we spent a little too long in the pre-trial place. I'll be honest, fair play. So, we should be going straight into a trial here. Natsume, apparently, we're in a past flashback, right? Which was technically a case in the middle of the first game. Apparently, Natsume got in trouble right after he got acquitted the first time. And the person who is the victim didn't actually die, apparently. But still, he's pointing the finger at Natsume, and we have to prove his innocence. Right. Let's go. The Old Bailey. This place always makes me feel strange. I even get chills down my spine and break out into a nervous sweat all the time. All the same time. What? I feel like I said that right. All at the same time. Ah, right. Okay. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line! There he is. Good morning! Good morning, Mr. Natsume. It was only 2 days ago when I was declared not guilty here. Yes, and somehow we managed to prove that he didn't stab Miss Green in the back. But now this! Another morning, another murder, and here I am again in this hellhole! Can't keep coming to court! I'm beginning to think he's right. It really does seem like as though he's cursed. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid I have bad news. Need to redo Susata's name, voice. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid I have bad news. Oh! Mr. Natsume, good morning. Yes, good morning. So, here we are again. Yes, again. Justicial Assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquires, what is the bad news? Oh dear, you heard, didn't you? If you come in shouting at the top of your voice, people can't help but hearing what you're saying! Oh, I'm so sorry. You've done nothing wrong, Miss Susato. Now, what is it? Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial will be led by Lord Baron von Zieks. Man, why? From my understanding, Zieks was supposed to only be interested in trials that that had to do with the gravest of offenses, which a lot of McGilded stuff did. But is this related to it? I don't know. Although it makes sense that they're introducing him here instead of later when we're supposed to have even more of a backstory with him, I guess. Van Zieks? Yeah! Oh no! Oh no! Yep. It's the guy who really loves to be dramatic and racist. The so-called Reaper of the Bailey. The most legendary prosecutor in the land. In the trial 2 days ago, he pursued Soseki-san, and I relentlessly. Yeah. Of course, by the skin of our teeth, we managed to pull through, but still. Perhaps Mr. Natsume's acquittal in the last trial wasn't the end of the matter, after all. I suppose if he wasn't interested in the first case, I guess it makes sense that he would be interested in the incidents right after he gets acquitted. Or maybe he's just a freaking, what's it called? Obsessive bitch. It's like, he beat me once, but if I prove that he is actually, his client is a monster, then I will prove that I was right in the first place. Yes. Something like that. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The legend of the Reaper that says, nothing can save a person in the dock when Lord Van Zeeks is the prosecutor. Oh no!
But even if the person is found not guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another.
And we've experienced it firsthand. Yep. A man we successfully defended and met the most terrifying end after his acquittal, right here in the Old Bailey. And because of this, the time frame here, we don't know the actual circumstances of the whole thing. Like McGilded's backstory. We know outside of the game, we know, but within this point in time, the characters don't. And we also know who set that fire and killed McGilded.
Ah! Do I have to put up with those ice cold eyes boring into my soul again? Cursed by the evil spirits, and now by the Reaper! Pair of petrifying perils potentially!
Well, if it is potentially, at least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsume.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
Ah, yes?
I'm innocent. You have to believe me.
I mean, it would make sense they'd have trust. Considering what we had to do in order to find out the truth last time, it makes sense that he's like, I'm innocent. It really doesn't seem like that's the truth, but this guy can totally make it appear. He can totally find the truth, right? So, it makes sense.
You, more than anyone now.
Don't worry. I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way in this battle. I promise. And this promises to be a hard battle, I fear.
Well,
I mean, didn't mean to say.
Well, the trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom.
Let's go.
Oh yes, I forgot to say. I'm afraid I won't be able to make it. Mr. Sholmes, I mean. He won't be able to make it, Mr. Sholmes, I mean.
That's probably for the best.
Oh!
If he were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help. And that could be seen as a weakness. If Lord Van Zeeks were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. At least, that's my gut feeling.
Mr. Naruhodo.
you're right. Yes, you're right. Oh, well said, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Well said.
I swear on the sword at my side, and on the spirit of Kazuma that it harbors. Kazuma. I keep saying Kazuma, but it's Kazuma, right? I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do, and I'll set you free with honor. I mean, we've already, timeline-wise, we've beaten him twice. In situations where he should have won. You know.
Oh yes! Oh yes! Get it! Let's go!
I wonder if this is going to be a single trial. Because this is the second case, right? Who knows? We didn't get a lot of investigation, that's the thing. And there's that character that ran away that we didn't get to talk to. I hope that it's all wrapped up in one trial, so then this is a two-part case. Hey! Only one new juror. Jesus Christ. We really don't know how to get new ones, huh?
In the name of Her Majesty and the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. Now I call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
I'm so fucking done with this place. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. Readiness for the trial, my learned Nipponese friend, is not what the defense needs. What you need is a readiness for your inevitable defeat. Bro, I've beaten you twice in a row. You're supposed to be this great dude, but seriously. It's not just my imagination. It's really there. Lord Van Zeeks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason.
It was some time ago now that he first became known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. These past few years, he hasn't appeared in court at all. Here's a bunch of exposition for the first game.
Yet now he's back in the courtroom. Though for some reason, only when I'm defending. So yeah, he's another big loose end from the first game. Which feels like it's going to get tied and loose... tied up. Loose end? Tied up? What is the actual opposite of a loose end? Tied end? Nah. The Reaper, with his curious disdain for us Japanese, is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Still, this isn't the time to be pondering that. I have to concentrate on Soseki-san's trial.
Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty?
Oh my god, these characters. I'm not going to be remembering the voices specifically. So,
absolutely. I have a feeling that this larrikin wasn't innocent before.
I must say, I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat refuses to sit right.
Oh, well, I rather like how you're wearing your hat. I think the ruthless look is very fetching, actually.
I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick.
I couldn't agree more.
I think I do it. I couldn't agree more. I need to take home for 5 bob tonight. What? I need to take home 5 bob tonight, or the missus will go through the roof. Well, didn't mean to click that.
Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here, and lead his flock to the righteous verdict.
I swear to God, if that lady on the jury is the culprit or connected to the trial, this jury system is really fucked up.
The British jury system is so very different from our own, isn't it? It's quite extraordinary to think that the power of judgment is in the hand of 6 members of the public, and that the judge can only pass sentence when all the jurors are in agreement about the defendant's guilt.
Sophia Jeffrey, thanks for following. Hope you're having a good day. Seriously, 5 of these we've seen multiple times. Well, he's not multiple, but she's the only new one.
Hey, what's up?
Ugh.
Everything's good today.
Hopefully, I'm hoping this trial is only a single stream, but something makes me feel like it's going to have an extra investigation past it.
Just
Did I
I
miss
follow
something?
you on Twitter, hope you follow back.
Ooh. I might do that, if I get around to it. I might forget though. I'll try to remember to do it. Judge can only pass sentence when all 6 the jurors are in agreement about the defendant's guilt. Reality is that's not true. The judge can flat out throw out the jurors' agreement. You're like, nope, jurors make no sense when they come to this agreement. You think he's innocent? Ugh, I don't believe it. The prosecution would draw attention to the facts that the accused was on trial here but only 2 days ago. Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for today's duty. That woman ain't the same. At least the fucking beautiful one. Yeah, beautiful. I haven't really seen her properly. Have I got a picture of her? Hey, there we go. No, what? No, I haven't. I thought. Aw. I really hope this game doesn't recycle too many characters. Right.
Let's commence this trial. Lord Van Zeeks, your opening statement, please.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intent of the prosecution to cast doubt over your past actions. However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Nipponese before has had dire consequences.
Excuse me, mate. What happened before was proven to not be his fault at all, so your bullshit here is completely unnecessary. You're essentially stating that if somebody is possibly can cause harm in the future, even if they're not innocent or if they're not guilty, you should consider them guilty anyway to stop them from doing anything in the future. Which is horrible. But, you know, he's racist towards Japanese, so...
Did the accused repent for his wrongdoings in that affair? Far from it. Instead, he used his freedom to perpetrate a most blood-curdling crime. Namely, that of an attempted murder on his neighboring lodger, an innocent Englishman.
Fucking seriously?
To explain the circumstances of the crime, the prosecution calls its first witness to the stand.
Is it Tobias? Oh, yep, get the cape off straight away.
The detective responsible for the investigation of the scene. And the accused himself.
Ooh, that in the corner should have changed. Let me just go ahead and get something up that will change it. Christfall sadly did not stick around. Harumph. Rumpa-pum-pump. Anyway. Come on. Bum, 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 bum. This music is really good, by the way. Honestly, I might even do like a music ranking stream at some point. I want to do a lot of ranking stuff with Ace Attorney. The problem is that if someone comes in and they haven't seen anything, which Marco hasn't, it would be a lot of spoilery stuff, right? I'd have to just put that in the title. Spoilers for Ace Attorney. Don't come in unless you want to get spoiled. There you go. You're at the top right corner now. Okay. Yeah.
Witness your names and occupations, please.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector, Scotland Yard's Homicide Division.
I'm not a witness. Soseki Natsume, from the Empire of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student to study language and culture.
Mr. Natsume.
Yes, my lord, sir.
I'm quite sure I'm not mistaken that you swore an oath to never set foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as if it was yesterday.
The day before, in fact, my lord. But close enough.
Believe me, this is the last place I want to be.
Inspector, let's hear from you first. Explain the case to the court.
Right you are, sir. Man, doing all these voices can be a bit difficult, but I'm doing my best. The incident occurred at the Garideb household where the defendant has lodgings. In the ground floor room of the in the ground floor room of the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare. The defendant had already admitted to visiting the victim on the night in question. Mr. Shamspeare collapsed in the room as a result of poisoning by Scrachini. I'm gonna freaking use, oh my god. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna use text-to-speech to tell me how to pronounce that. Oh my god, this keyboard. 9. Strychnine. That's apparently how it's pronounced. Strychnine. That's what text-to-speech states, so I'm going to be saying it like that, even though it's probably a pun of, like, scratching 9 or something. It was found in the following morning when the landlord suspected something was wrong. Broke down the door.
This means that I presume that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident?
Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry to or exit from the room impossible.
Although the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, lives to tell the tale. He very nearly didn't. The man was halfway to heaven when he first found him. I was the first officer on the scene, my lord. And I have a photographic print here that I took at the time when I showed you... I have a photographic print here that I took at the time to show you how it looked. There we go.
Yes, a chilling scene indeed. The man looks very much deceased.
That's right. Everyone present believed exactly that he was.
Very well. I shall accept the photographic print as an evidence for the court.
Let's take a looky at that.
Now then, Mr. Natsume, wait a minute, I gotta look at this.
Leakage there. That's padlocked, so did it get used or did it open or something? I don't know. I don't think it matters that it's padlocked, only that it might have been used or not. Who knows? He's got a fork. The soap. Doesn't seem to be anything besides the oil stain here, or whatever that stain is. Also, to keep in note that the bricks here have not been removed, so...
Now then, Mr. Natsume.
Yes?
As a defendant, do you have anything to say at this juncture?
They're haunted. Haunted by evil spirits. Good gracious, what's haunted? My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. The tenant before me died in mysterious circumstances. A woman stabbed by no one on the street outside. My neighbor was poisoned. And me? What about me? I was nearly being killed countless times.
Killed, Mr. Natsume? How?
Even on that fateful night, it happened when I returned from Mr. Shamspeare's room. I lit the gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out and someone tried to kill me.
You must always extinguish all fires before retreating for the night, Mr. Natsume.
But it's so cold. My runny nose would freeze. The point is, I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? Why is my existence so cursed?
Thank you, witnesses. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of events.
If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more conclusive point.
Conclusive? Go on.
Fortunately, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, has regained consciousness after his ordeal, and he has named the true culprit.
Oh, so we just believe people now. Even though... Have you proven that he could leave the room? Have you proven anything so far? Yeah.
Don't worry, he won't lie, I swear. I swear, Z's. The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank on the night in question. Tea, my lord. That's what brought the victims to the victim's room by the accused.
The accused? Good grief! Order! Order!
Yes, that's the crux of the whole case. So if Soseki-san is innocent, then why? Why did the victim accuse him?
Well, Mr. Natsume, what have you to say about this accusation? That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shamspeare's room as a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I brought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. I will never touch tea again. Never!
The public pump was frozen, you say?
That's not information we've heard before.
That will do. Thank you. Now, according to our laws, the defense must have an opportunity to cross-examine the witnesses at least once.
At least once, huh?
Therefore, I call upon the witnesses now for a formal testimony. I presume the prosecution has no objections?
I don't give a shit. None whatsoever, my lord.
Good. Then you will give your account of the events the night in question to the court now. Yes, my lord!
Okay. Making good time here. Here we go. The catastrophic night.
It was around 9 o'clock in the evening when I visited my neighbor. I took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink. After which I went back to my room around 11. My tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he?
Oh my god, I've already forgotten what it is. Strachny or something. Strachny takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Wow. Have you confirmed that there was poison in the cup? Let's just check. Maybe if I had to guess, there's got to be something to do with timing here, because this ring means that tea was left in the cup for a while before being drunk or poured. And do you know what it might have been poured? Ooh.
Yes, I see. It all seems relatively straightforward.
Excuse me, but the testimony does raise one rather crucial point, I think. Mr. Natsumi claims that his tea has been harmless, presumably, though. The teacups have been examined for traces of poison, haven't they?
Why didn't I think of that? I did, but you didn't, I guess. Well, as it happened, no. We haven't been able to.
Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspect substance?
How could you have overlooked something so important? Isn't that the first thing you should have done?
My learned Nipponese friend is falsely incensed.
Fuck.
The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine the tea, not that it was overlooked.
Unable? Why? It's simple enough. There was none left, not a drop. Someone must have been very thirsty indeed. So you can't prove that You can't prove that the poison was in the tea. Okay. Thank you. Oh boy.
The current scientific techniques it's not possible to test for poison under the circumstances.
We only need a drop, but one drop does actually have to exist, funny enough.
The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea passed the victim's lips that night in question.
I see. Thank you. The matter is clear.
Cast your eyes over the jury, my learned friend.
What?
You can see it in their faces, I'm sure. The recognition of the accused's guilt. Your client's fate is all but sealed.
I literally can't. Some of them don't even have eyes appearing on them.
In mere moments from now, you will lose, and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity.
Bro, fucking chill out.
He's right, I can feel all 6 jurors looking daggers at me.
Even though I'm just doing my goddamn job. I haven't even done anything yet. It's not me. Oh, I hate these fucking jurors already. Ugh.
Can't let them beat me down. I won't.
Counsel for defense, proceed with your cross-examination.
See, this is the thing with... The problem with this is that I already know how the trials have to go now. Essentially, Van Zieks has to convince the jury into completely going for guilty. Then we get the summation examination. And that might happen multiple times, meaning that we constantly get pushed back into the deep end. And sometimes it can feel unfair, since a lot of the times it feels like the jury is just going crazy for no reason other than to force the summation examination. See what I mean? It's a bit predictable as well. It makes the trials a little more predictable.
Counsel for defense, proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. I've won 2 cases and not lost a single one, and they were both under serious circumstances that ultimately I should have lost. Nevertheless, I'm freaking out.
The catastrophic night.
I suppose this is his 3rd trial since being in Britain. Right, so I guess it makes sense that he's still, like, nervous.
It was around 9 o'clock in the evening when I visited my neighbor and took some tea with me as a gift.
Hold it! Were you and your neighbor good friends, then?
Ah, no! We weren't friends. Not at all. Not at all! Never! Ever!
A simple no would have sufficed. Then, why did you decide to pay him a visit, then?
Mr. Shamspeare fancies himself for having great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of English literature, we find much to talk about together.
Come now, no Nipponese could understand the finer points of English literature.
Dude, I don't care if you're a good person in the end of all this. Your racism knows no bounds. And on the night in question, that was the topic of conversation as well, I presume?
It was the day of my last trial when I was acquainted. I'd just arrived back at my lodgings when I ran into Mr. Shamspeare outside on the street. That was around 6 o'clock. We exchanged 1 or 2 pleasantries, but it was soon turned into a heated discussion. He was on my way out. He was on his way out at the time, though. So I promised to visit him in his room in the evening at 9 so we could continue the debate. But did I have ill intentions? No! Not one! Not 2! Not any! Not at all! Never! Ever!
See, I find this interesting. None of the other cases had the defendant actually defending themselves as vividly like this. Because the defendant's just never allowed to speak for themselves.
A simple no would have sufficed, I feel.
Tell the court what happened when you visited the victim's room.
I had a heated literary debate over a nice cup of hot drink. We went back to our room around 11.
A literary debate about Shakespeare's works? I think you said, didn't you?
Shakespeare. Ah, a very worthy topic of discussion. Conversation, I say.
Oh, yes, my lord.
Ugh, going between these voices can be a bit difficult.
Romeo and Juliet. Who was stronger?
It was for profoundly pleasurable parley.
Romeo and Juliet?
Who was stronger? I know I'm gonna regret asking this, but how did the debate go?
Well, we both agreed that we could reach a conclusion more quickly with a reenactment.
So we battled it out, in the Greco-Roman style, naturally.
What?
Mr. Shakespeare had all sorts of costumes in his room for such a contest.
So when you say reenactment, you mean you were actually in costume?
He as Romeo, I as Juliet. And after a vigorous, wild tussle, I as Juliet came out on top.
Our victory I'll cherish forever!
I dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage.
The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim, correct? Forget all the other fucking bullshit.
I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, you know, see.
It's true. There was no signs of tea leaves in that man's room.
I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. So why is everyone looking at me with such suspicions? My tea was harmless, of course it was.
Do you have any basis for that statement with this?
I fucking know it's harmless, I made it.
If he was completely harmless, he could have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he?
Yes, there was not a drop of tea left in the victim's room elsewhere. 1 second. Okay. Reevaluate myself and set back into place. Yes, there was not a drop of tea left in the victim's room anywhere, was there? That's correct. Anyone would think the fellow had never a pot of tea before. He must have licked it dry. Which is a pity, because one drop is all we would have needed to analyze it for poison. You say that you returned home to your room after 11 o'clock, Mr. Natsume? At 11 o'clock.
Yes, definitely. By heaven and earth, I swear it.
The landlord was able to verify that, as it happens. He confirmed that the defendant went back to his room at 11 that night.
And how was the landlord able to attest to this?
He, said it was the lamps, I believe.
The lamps, Inspector?
When the tenants returned to the room, they started using gas. The lamps in the other parts of the house would flicker.
Yes, Mr. Gary Depp seems to pay a lot of attention to the comings and goings of his tenants.
There's only one key to Mr. Shakespeare's room, and I know that for certain. So he must have locked the door himself from the inside of his room.
The victim confirmed that to be the case, yes.
So I'm right! The tea was harmless. He was completely harmless. If you take poison, you die. Everyone knows that.
It's not that simple, I'm afraid.
What do you mean?
Restriction 9 takes some time to have some effect on the body. I'm not going to say it ever again in the correct way, and I forgot what the TSS mentioned it as, so I'm just going to keep saying it whatever I fucking think it says. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. How long does it take for symptoms to appear then? According to the coroner, I was speaking to the yard about 30 minutes after the poison's been consumed. Then the victim suffers of violent convulsions, cramping, and stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation. So there's 30 minutes interval between when the poison is ingested and on the onset of symptoms. There seems to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure.
Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful.
30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the doors behind the accused after he left. You can't deny that. It further degrades Suseki-san's alibi. I have a medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. Spells it out, really. The accused is the only person who could have done it.
Very well, the court will add this report to the court record as evidence.
Wait a minute, I want to look at it myself, thank you. Victim, William Shamspeare, 31. Cause of coma, ingestion of a small quantity of strychnine. Toxic effects present 30 minutes after ingestion. High likelihood of substance having mixed with tea of the victim was drinking. Nurse sample could be obtained for testing. Investigative conclusion. The poisoning incident occurred around 1:30 AM on the 21st of February. Assessed from the victim's pocket watch and appears to have broken when the man collapsed. After the delay on onset symptoms, no container for poison was found at the scene. That time is a bit weird, isn't it? The poisoning incident occurred around 1:30, so if he was poisoned at 1 o'clock, Natsume should have left by then. So that's way beyond the point.
Oh yes, I see it here. Delayed onset symptoms.
Great. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after the guest left. The argument still stands.
Hold it!
The argument still stands, you say? That's what Mr. Natsume's been saying, isn't it? The pair of them drank tea together that night, so if there was poison in it. It's interesting that it hasn't brought up the interact with other people thing yet. I thought they'd do that in the first trial, but they didn't. The victim wouldn't have been able to lock the door after the accused left later on.
Exactly! Ah! Me and my tea are innocent, sweet innocent, I tell you!
I'm afraid, sir, that doesn't follow. You see, strychnine is slow-acting poison. In other words, it takes time for the symptoms to appear. So you could have left the room up to 30 minutes after the victim drank the tea. And as long as you did that, Mr. Shamspeare would have locked the door after you were gone.
But no! We drank the tea straight away. The battle was over once Romeo and Juliet was stronger, and that came after the tea.
You have evidence to support that statement?
Shit. In my great homeland, the Empire of Japan, we have a saying. Drink tea while it's hot.
Sure, that proverb will satisfy the prosecution. I mean, we do have proof that that Natsume didn't waste time drinking.
I'm afraid there's no conclusive proof of the defendant's accusation. Or assumption, whatever. On the contrary, it seems sufficient grounds to infer that he's guilty. To infer his guilt on this matter. No!
So we've got multiple things here. The teacups to prove that he didn't drink it straight away. But that doesn't really prove anything. But I think it's the time. So that's the extent of the testimony, is it?
If we could voice a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo?
Of course, go ahead.
Mr. Natsume is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently. Yet Inspector Gregson brushes off whatever he says aside. It's quite infuriating.
I agree. So we need to find an inconsistency what the Spectre is saying, I think.
I'm afraid so. As all stands, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsume guilty.
I see it. As I see it, what we need to focus on is the poison and the tea. Listen carefully to the testimony again. Okay. So we need to... They meant stated specifically Gregson's lines here. I think it's most likely this one. The guest left at 11. That's what they stated very clearly. But the poisoning happened 1 hour and a half. An hour and a half in. Meaning that even if it was at 1 hour, a 1 hour in. Essentially, no wait, 2 hours later. At the least it was 2 hours later that he got poisoned. If I can't tell exactly what the report is stating by the poison incident. If it was like he got poisoned then 30 minutes after. Or if he got poisoned at 1:30. Either way.
Objection.
There's something big problems with that timing. The argument still stands, you say? I think not, Inspector. Come again. I think you'll find that you've overlooked a very significant chronological inconsistency here. A what?
What are you talking about?
According to this report, the victim must have consumed poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11. Yes, that's right. There was more than 2 hours of missing time there. Seriously? You didn't notice this easy fucking problem? In other words, if there were poison in that tea that Mr. Natsume had brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 full hours after the defendant left? Ah! I love how they both have the same animation.
The defense's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Mr. Van Zieks? Ooh, he's got you by the ropes.
No, he doesn't. Allow me to break more shit because I'm edgy. Waste my time drinking like a fucking piece of shit. Pray for the discourtesy if my mind has wandered. I was considering what cuisine would be best complement the contents of my Hao chalice this luncheon.
Fucking really?
How could it have happened, you ask? I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Nipponese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea.
A phantom?
Yes.
But isn't that in Ace Attorney Dual Destinies?
No, not that one. I'm being figurative, you piece of shit. It hasn't even happened chronologically timelines. It's like, how many years before that even happens? Whatever. It's so hard to imagine that the victim drank his tea after the accused had left. For example, the time stated in the medical report. Yes, around 1:30.
Mr. Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, it's well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot.
In my country, there's even more apt saying. There's nothing more refreshing than a cold tea.
Fucking no. There's no such thing as that. We like tea regardless. I genuinely do prefer tea when it's more lukewarm. So it's not literally burning my mouth, or throat, or stomach, or chest, or lungs if it gets down the wrong pipe. But yeah, cold tea. People drink cold tea. It's not a crazy thing. People drink iced tea for fuck's sake, and even that's weird.
It's nothing more refreshing than a cold tea.
Well, hot tea is definitely more... I don't know, it's like eating hot food, right? You don't want to eat your food when it's gone cold, because then it gets stale. the point is, if there was such a long gap, then there may have been other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned. Other possibilities.
What sort of possibilities, Council?
Oh, fuck. Don't ask me what. Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor.
Another visitor? That is a very bold assertion, my learned friend. From someone who has nothing to substantiate, you know what I'm saying.
Or, the victim could have taken poison on his own volition. Volition, fuck. I don't ever want to say that freaking company's name because holy shit did they fuck up Saints Row.
You suggest that it might have been suicide, Council?
Mr. Shamspear has categorically denied suicide. The idea must be discontinued. Fuck. But he could be lying. Dude, who would lie about wanting to kill themselves?
You're being very rude.
Oh my god, yep.
Is something wrong, Mr. Lord Van Zeeks?
I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Carriage? What carriage?
It would seem that the key player in this case has just arrived.
Hold it! Out! Out! Brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. 'Tis a tale told of an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. My god, the light's bright on that guy.
Who, sir, are you?
William Shamspear, my lord. Alas, 'twas I, undone by the bitter events. I am the victim. What? What's he doing here?
The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand.
He's already there.
With his testimony, my learned friend's futile resistance will be utterly crushed.
You're calling him as a witness?
Very well, Council. I grant your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court shall hear from the victim himself. I'm so interested. Where's my popcorn?
Time to make this trial into fiasco showcase of my greatest hits. Happy am I, Shamspear, to regale thee with my tale of woe, my lord. But I have my own tale to tell too. My own tale of woe is worse woe. I can regale the court with the tale of my perfect innocence in perfect English.
That'll do, Mr. Natsume. Let the court now hear from the victim.
Oh, hey, is this guy too, huh? Alright, so that's Mr. Shamspear. But who's that other man besides him?
Yes, I'm sure we've caught a glimpse of that man before.
State your name.
State your names and occupations for the court, please, witnesses.
A writer of words so sweet, they do scent the breeze. An inventor of ideas so profound, they compose the earth. The unrivaled poet, the unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare.
Shakespeare's, where the great bard be recalled to life anew. Lo, what a magnificent man! Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle, William Shakespeare.
My name's Meterman. Adderon B. Meterman.
Adrun B. Meterman. Adrun B. Meterman. Is that it? Adrun B. Meterman.
Oh, the name's Meterman.
Oh my god, he's got a jiggly chin.
I work for the Alaga Gas Company. East End branch office.
I remember now. It was yesterday on Blair Road.
Oh yes, that's right, it's him.
Oh,
What's this? Literally wearing all yellow, how did we not see him or remember him at all? What's that man doing over there? Looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Or rather, Shamspeare's lodgings.
something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Excuse me? Could we have a word?
Yeah, but right.
Yes, we spotted him outside of Mr. Garadeb's house that morning. And he's a gas company employee? What does he have to do with this case?
So, Mr. William Shakespeare, you're the victim in this miserable affair, correct? Oh heaven, oh hell! Do that you command me to remember? That sweet poison that didst cross me and cross mine innocent lips.
I subpoenaed him for the trial, with his doctor's permission, naturally. Hearing the testimony from the aggrieved should remove any room for doubt from the jurors' minds, I'm sure.
Behold, you have only to arrange the letters of my name. You will see that Misa Saf, an angel indeed. Misa Seraph.
Misa Seraph? Okay.
Thus be I noble, two of mind, sweet of nature and verity, honest of heart, and all heavenly angels be. Because there isn't a less contrived meaning in your name. No, not at all. These jurors do seem to be very moved by this man, I'm afraid.
They're actually taking this Seraph's anagram idea seriously.
Thank you, witnesses, for your illuminating introductions.
But my lord, what's the man next to Shamspeare doing here? The gas man, I mean.
What? Me? Well now.
Ugh, I'm trying to think of a voice to do him. I don't want him to be like super high pitched, but I'm trying to do like a Popeye voice, and his Popeye voice is very much like that. Really fucking gravelly. Well, I guess it depends on what type of Popeye we're talking about.
Allow me to enlighten the learned friend. You recall, I presume, your earlier impertinence? When you suggested that the victim had another visitor to his room on the night in question? And moreover, that the victim is a compulsive liar?
What? No, I didn't quite say that.
This young chin stroker is here to controvert your wild claims conclusively.
Yeah, you needed to actually address that before just, like, sitting there quietly while we all pondered.
Is that not so, Meter Man?
Hang on. No. I'm just here.
I hereby called your formal testimonies. You will tell the court as lucidly as possible what happened on the night in question. One may smile and be a villain. Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken. And the truth of that wintry night of my discontent.
Wintry night of my discontent.
The snow lay about, my neighbour did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But merry, bitter was his drink, and when he left I did fall prostrate myself on my table. 'Twas the tea alone that passed my lips at this 8 hour, naught else.
I was on the outside of this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room. No one else visited the room but that short little rounded back Eastern fella.
Wait, what did you say? You were keeping an eye on Mr. Shamspeare's room all night.
That's right. Of course, the bloke's window is all but blocked up, isn't it? But there's a little gap in the bricks where you can see into the room. So I spent the night trying to keep my teeth from chattering as I peered through that.
The question is, sir, why?
Well now. It's because it's on my list.
What a piece of work is a man! Wherefore outst thou not stare in wonderment?
What are you talking about?
This buzzing busybody hath not part in this play. I pray thee pay him no heed. Make no more ado about his tenuous words.
What'd you say about me?
Calm yourselves. This court is concerned with what happened on the night in question. Nothing more.
Indeed, that is so.
And as the testimony we've just heard recently reveals, there's none other than the accused present at the time who could have carried out this crime.
We've already got a problem with the freaking drinking of tea and the poison times being different.
Well, I believe it's maybe time for the final testimony of this trial. Yes, we're getting through this very quickly. Now, counsel, the defense may proceed with its cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. God damn it. The wintry nights of my discontent. See, in the first game, there was actually only ever one trial day, wasn't there? That's so wild as well. I'm fairly certain every single case in the first game only had investigation and trial and nothing afterwards. Like, it was always like 1 day of investigation and 1 day of trial. Nothing after. And it was surreal. Might be different in this one though, who knows. The wintry night of my discontent.
The snow lay about, my neighboureth did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea.
Oh, I forgot. More of a person now. To be clear, by the neighbour, you're referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume?
Oh, indeed, sir. Perchance thou wouldst that I call him the man from upstairs?
And at the what time did the mustachioed man Nipponese visit you in your room?
That's so weird, dude.
Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9, and lo did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea.
Details which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes.
And we were embroiled in such literary debate as history hath not seen before.
By which I presume he means...
The discussion about who was stronger, Romeo or Juliet. I, Shakespeare, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbour played the fair Juliet. Each of us dressed as the other would. The other characters be to bring weight upon the merriment experiment.
I dare not imagine the scene.
Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, had heard from the Eastern art of Jiu-Jitsu, but ne'er did I dream 'twould be a skill practiced by the comely maiden.
Juliet beat Romeo up? This is not helping our cause.
I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought through to your room.
My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I will do thy bidding.
This guy's so overdramatic. I mean, he's fun to voice, I'll be honest.
But Mary, a bitter was his drink.
Let me stop you right there. Mr. Natsume left your room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 that the poison made you collapse. That amounts to about 3 hours of missing time. Stop. Stop with these goddamn moves, dude. If the defendant really had put poison in your tea, that 3-hour window of time is something you're going to have to explain.
Gladly. 'Tis an easy task. What? I did drink the tea not whilst my guest did tarry, but after he took leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold. Faith, 'twas stone cold. But at 1 hour post midnight, verily were my lips parched.
That doesn't sound normal.
Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire. After all, thou wouldst recall our fiery debates amidst such arguments. There is no time for fiery tea.
Romeo and Juliet again. That's all my tea gone. And who was stronger?
Mr. Shakespeare, in summary, allow me to confirm. Did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker?
But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words did attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil.
Ugh. We all know what that means. I mean, some people might not. Remember, this is a public gallery of public people. Some people might not understand a word he's saying.
'Twas the tea alone that passed my lips that late hour, nothing else.
So, you didn't have any kind of evening meal? Dinner? Supper?
Ha! Fry on luxury, fry on gluttony. To eat thrice daily, 'tis but a waste of time.
Sorry?
I would put my...
Oh my god, this fucking dude, he just does not stop.
I would that my belly were full, no more oft than the sun doth rise. Well, most heroic eating habit, I must say. Night and day I fill my hours with learned study of the great bard and playwright. Hence hence is it that there doth not be in my chamber be the costumes of mine art.
That would appear to be the case, as even the rodent was found starved to death on the floor.
When I think of it, it's not the food that was conspicuously missing from the room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single player script anywhere. For I have devoured them all.
You've eaten them?
Every word within my skull. Did thou imagine otherwise?
Right. That wasn't misleading at all. Now, could you just turn around, do you think?
Which brings us to the conclusion. The only way for poison to have passed the victim's lips is in the tea.
Oh.
I was outside the bloke's window, in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on the room.
But the windows of the house have been filled in.
A historical artifact from the now defunct window tax.
Yeah, you're right there. It's all bricked up horribly. But as it happens, there's a little part where the brickwork at the bottom corner had been opened up. I was looking through that gap.
Yes, there were a few bricks loose, weren't they?
There. For some reason, a couple bars of soap were lined up on the ledge outside as well.
I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. But them's my orders, so that's what I kept doing, as long as there's breath in my body.
What's with all the theatricals today?
Out of interest, Mr. Meterman, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim and leave the room at all?
No, he never left. He was the one. He was in that room the whole time as far as I'm concerned.
And as therefore we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide.
How can I be sure of that?
The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. And since we know the victim did not leave his room, and hence did not dispose of the poison container himself, it is clear that was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed this receptacle.
Ah, yes. Lucidly explained, Counsel. Thank you.
It really was. You can't argue with that logic.
No one else could have visited the room in such a short time. Except the little round fella.
Did you say short, little, round, black-backed Middle Eastern fella? So you can't be sure it was the defendant then.
Objection.
How many other short, little, round-backed Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London?
Well, of course, it was only a narrow gap, and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the mustache. But he showed up around 9, so I'm pretty sure it was myself.
And when the person you saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shamspear drink tea together?
Nah, sorry. Couldn't say.
Why not?
Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? But what I did see was the silhouette of a little round fella wearing a pretty dress. And a pair of them was starting some kind of wrestle match. I tell you, I didn't know what to make of it.
I suppose that was Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway.
Mr. Meterman, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty that there was no one else visited the victim on the night in question?
No question. Guessman's honor.
Fuck No, the jury's gonna be like, yep, we all agree.
My lord! Goodness me. Yes, Mr. Foreman?
I've kept my mouth shut and listened up to now, but this has gone on long enough. Are you all with me?
Yes.
Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? Then hurry up and cast your votes, that you have reached an unambitious decision. A unanimous decision, sorry.
Too right we have.
Are you all with me?
Yes! Well, wait, no. The defense is in the middle of cross-examination.
To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you identified a few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room.
Yes, the 3 missing hours, as you put it.
But in the end, I'm not gonna go. I need to keep from doing Irish. But in the end, the what difference did it make? None as far as I can see.
And since that's now apparent, there's no real reason to delay our decision any longer.
Like I was saying before, if I don't take 5 Bob home with me tonight, the missus will blow her top.
What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said.
Very well, the court will be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as defendant to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty!
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
They just repeated a voice. This lady just had the same voice as the teleprompter lady from the last game. At least I think so. Fuck. All of you?
Well, it would appear that the jury is indeed unanimous.
If you haven't played the first game, you think that I've won. So, this time at last, it seems justice will be done. All well that ends well, I'd say. Let's call for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished.
No, I've forgotten what I'm supposed to do. Get up, Mr. Naruhodo, please. The trial isn't over yet.
What do you mean, Susato? I've forgotten.
It's about the information found in the Encyclopedia of British Law I have. That the obscure right that obscures the right that belongs to the defendant in these situations. Remember?
Oh right, I've done this like multiple times now. A summation examination. Yes, that's right. We don't have the jury in Japanese courts, of course. But here in British courts, we can reverse the decision of the majority of the jurors. And we can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. Whatever it takes, I just can't let it happen. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Why am I not surprised at my learned Nipponese friend's inability to admit defeat?
Because I've won every other time.
You choose to cling desperately to some archaic rule that you barely comprehend instead of accepting the truth.
I certainly know of a defense counsellor in recent times have exercised the right to a summation examination, which doesn't make sense really, because it is quite literally one of the only things they can do to continue defending their client, and if they aren't defending their client zealously, then they are most likely going to be disbarred for not doing their job correctly. You know, normal things like that.
Because they all know that once the jury's mind is set, it cannot be altered.
Nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld.
Fucking San Sikhs. For the love of God, we've done this before. I kind of just wish Van Zieks would shut up a lot of the time, because every time he just opens his mouth, he's like, you don't understand how wrong you are," and it feels like he's elongating a game that doesn't need to be elongated. Like, for the love of God, Van Zieks, that this has worked before, so of course we're gonna do it. But no, he needs to postulate and be pompous for a while. If the game tries to make him into a good guy, I swear to Christ.
The Defense Council request is granted. The court will proceed with the summation examination, as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law.
Thank you, my lord.
Are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman?
Believe me, my lord, we know all about this young lad's tenacity. And we're ready for it.
Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime that which he stands accused.
All right. Hopefully this will be the only one for this trial. The jurors' contentions.
That victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man, and straight up, there's no reason to doubt the man.
Well, I do declare that the good gentleman had no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid.
Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and he has a mustache. Very fishy.
Well, there's no evidence to suggest that the gangling actor is a fraudsman, for now at least.
I really don't care, like, I need to get this trial to end quickly.
3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know? Nothing at all.
God damn it. I knew it. Every single one of them seems completely convinced.
It would seem that all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shamspeare is fine, upstanding, and honest citizen.
If you ask me, they're all bewitched by his strange theatrical movements.
And sadly, nothing Mr. Natsume has said has appeared to be registered at all.
Well, here goes. Let's not forget. I pleaded with the jury on Soseki-san's behalf before, and it worked. So, you never know.
Before we begin, it might be an idea to remind you exactly how summation examination works. Oh, well, you still have to very new to British law.
That's true, I suppose, and Soseki-san's fate is in my hands too. There's always a chance I might have forgotten a crucial detail. Probably should have let her... no need, please. For the love of God, I know how it works. Thank you for the kind offer, Mr. Sato. But I've been through plenty of these summation examinations already, but now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary.
Of course, I understand. I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused by anything at any point, you can turn to me for advice whenever you'd like. I'm here for you.
The key to this is really listening to each juror. Oh my god, it's going to tell me what to do anyway. Finding two contradictory and pitting them together. Right.
Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination.
Shoo! Yes, my lord. Here we go. The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man, and straight up, there's no reason to doubt the man. Well, there's plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars?
I have no doubt about it. Like that shaky client of yours, for example.
Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is no liar.
Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's lips that night was the Japanese man's tea. And when you take the Jas man's testimony into account as well, the truth cannot be any clearer.
Well, that's alarmingly logical.
But let me be frank here, I'm a gentleman with a gentleman's values. Turns out that an old Shakespeare's chum is a rotten liar as well. After all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen on the jury would do the same, isn't that right?
Well, yes, perhaps. Though I don't see it happening.
Huh? What's that? Elderly gent on the end here. You know, you have to speak up.
Look, I really don't care about this nonsense. I really need to get this trial to be over.
How many gentlemen do we have on this jury, then? Alright, sir. I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said. Alright, we need to prove that the gasman...
If you can prove that the victim's a liar, I'll reconsider my position.
I do declare that he's a beautiful man. Beautiful man?
Are you saying that you believe this man to be trustworthy because he's rather splendid?
No, that's not what I said. The point is, the man is the victim here. What reason would he have to lie? And yes, he is rather splendid.
So you say, yet again.
Meanwhile, the man who stands accused...
Oh my god, I'm going summon Bell again.
Meanwhile, the man who stands accused behaves so suspiciously. It's exhausting to look at him. I'm afraid he is not splendid at all.
Splendid logic there, madam. Thank you so much. So she's not going to be helpful here. Just look at the accused by comparison. Japanese stoops all the while. There's a mustache, very fishy. It's weird how he and the first juror, can't remember what his name is now. It's weird how their stances have actually been switched here from how they usually were in the first game. No, not one of those things is a reason. None of those things are a reason to find the man guilty.
It is very fishy.
There's no point dancing around that fact.
He's Japanese. He has a mustache. And he stoops. You see, you arrive at a conclusion in just 3 steps. 3 steps. Like a waltz, in fact. Like a waltz. You know, the more I think about it, the more this trial seems like a dance.
You seem to be in several steps ahead of yourself, though. You seem to be on the wrong foot. No, there's nothing, but that's nothing more than circumstantial evidence here. There's no actual proof of the defendant's guilt. But the victim's version of events is backed up by what the big-chinned man but next to him says, isn't it? Once he saw the Japanese man there, 1, he saw the Japanese man there, 2, he saw no one else, and 3, he saw a Japanese man there. Oh. There's another 3 steps. Oh, this really does seem more like a waltz, doesn't it? Right. And the prosecution will waltz its way to a victory if I let you speak any more. There's no evidence to suggest the gangling actor is a fraud man, now for at least. The fraudsman? What do you mean by that, ma'am?
It's really not... is a most tiresome problem for the country. The company, most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence. We can't be threatened to take action. We can't even threaten to take action for the fear of being sued.
I'm sorry, you've lost me a little there. Who are you?
I am the wife of Augustus Alamont, owner of the Alamont Gas Company.
Good gracious, Alamont Gas, you say?
You say? The gas is the future of energy in this company and around the globe, but the proper handling is essential. I'm sure the employee from the East End branch of the office would be first to agree.
Absolutely, Lady Quinsby. You gotta be used properly. Alamont Gas is the best in the world, of course.
I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier. The bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right, he bowed in deference to his employer's wife, did he? Ah, so would it be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Meterman was watching the Mr. Shamspear was up to in his room?
I'm afraid there's no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go to in order to steal our gas. So I really didn't have no choice but when the company identifies someone who's a possible fraudsman. But to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night. We're very thorough in our investigations.
So you mean Mr. Shamspear is...
I wouldn't come out and say it in public. But you can finish that sentence with a grubby little gas beef.
You've noticed the public gallery is in here, haven't you?
The eyes of a man have not heard. The ears of a man have not seen. Faith, wouldest thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin? But Seraphs, hear not insults, but choirs of angels in song. We may not have evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing around until they find it. When they do, you'll find yourself fast back to your angelic heights in the Alamont gas explosion.
So Mr. Shamspear has been stealing gas? I wonder, juror number 4, if it wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement.
My pleasure. It was a bit about ripping that thief apart you enjoy.
A little before that part about abject violence, if it's not too much trouble.
Yes, of course.
This could be it. This could be shift the balance. Right, so she knows the victim here is someone who steals gas, so he's a liar. But first, we gotta push these other two fast before I do any extra stuff. You keep talking about needing to take home some money. What's that all about, sir?
Finish less. That's what it's about.
What's that?
I'm talking about the Derby at Hyde Park, ain't I? It was the Queen's Cup last week, wasn't it?
Derby?
It was a dead cert. It was a dead cert, that thing. I couldn't lose. So I took my wife's secret savings, like. But then, the hopeless old mare went and did an unthinkable. Stupid finish, lass.
Oh dear. I think it's clear what happened, isn't it?
This is the first day that Mrs. uses her savings for a trip down to the pub.
So come on, I need to let this business lie now. You can't just give it up.
No, that's not going to happen.
Hold it!
3 hours of missing time, What do you mean when you say that, sir?
Well, I'm not one to boast, but I get up at 5 every morning, I do.
At 5? You're really an early riser then, aren't you?
What's that now?
I said you're an early riser.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I like to while away the hours into the evening reading up books as well. But by 2 in the morning, I'm usually too tired to go on.
He sleeps at 2 in the morning and gets up at 5? My, that means he only has 3 hours of sleep each night.
What's that, dear?
Only 3 hours of sleep each night!
That's right. You see, 3 hours of missing time, like I said, it's not much, is it?
This really isn't helping. Alright. I got one. Yep, you don't need to tell me what I need to do. So pit him against juror number 4. You can show me evidence that the victim's a liar. I'll reconsider it. My position.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good gracious! Whose two statements do you refer, counsel?
Juror number 1.
Yeah? What are you yelling about, lad?
I presume that you've heard juror number 4's statement, made by a wife of the owner of Alamont Gas.
Well, yes.
The victim, who you claim to be noble, straight-up man, in fact, turns out to be a common thief.
So it's good lady says, but there's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard her say as much.
It's true. We don't have evidence as such yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know.
What?
You heard me, seeing as his operation's already been compromised. I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch office employee over there.
I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gas man's on us.
Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If you could show Mr. Shamspear was if I could show Mr. Shamspear was a liar, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt.
I did say that, yes. And on a man of honor, I'll hold to it. I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will.
Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we've found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further.
Well, I'm perfectly honest. I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. That means you'll recap a few points that would suit me down the road to the ground.
Oh no, I ain't having part of this. I want this child to be over and done with.
In that case, I shall change my leaning.
So, Mr. William Shamspear, if that's your real name, we, the jury, demand to know exactly what kind of man you are.
Bum 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 bum. That was one too many bums, but we got enough. That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Victory!
I kind of wish she did the Athena victory sign.
Order! Order! Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defendant's summation examination, the jury's leaning has changed. Although it's happened 2 times before, so I guess it's not that too crazy. Or maybe even 3 times. I can't remember. The 4th trial had multiple ones. I feel like it might have. Now, only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst the 4 say not guilty. Therefore, I declare to this court to be in a state of discord. And order to the trial to continue.
Susana stood with us now. That's nice. I thought she was usually at the bench.
Fuck you. You've spoilt the bouquet, Mr. Shamspear. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find it unable to trust you, the victim.
But you gods will give us some fault to make us men. So God mend me, I do swear. The gasman speaketh that which concerns him most, not but gas, not but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul.
Oi, what are you saying? Do I take it, Mr. Shamspear, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery?
Most heartedly, my lord. Hast thou forgot? I am a seraph, an angel, noble of mind, sweet of nature and virility, honest of heart.
Ah, you flowery foul... mouth, pompous beanpole, just 'cause I haven't got the evidence yet.
Mr. Shamspear, if in fact you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom.
It is my considered opinion that at the present time no other possible culprit of the crime has been identified. All testimony heard by this court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be reasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case. Oh no. However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern about the... Oh wait, did I read that wrong? It would not be unreasonable for me to rule on the case. However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern about the fealty of the witness, I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the point further.
I was gonna fucking win! I assure you, my lord, it would be a waste of court's time. The gas and this case are unrelated.
Juror number 4.
Yes.
Didn't you say before that although you had no hard evidence to prove the man had been stealing gas, that you had strong grounds of suspecting him?
That's right, we do. Don't we, worker?
Oh my god, these slow animations piss me off at times. Van Zeeks has the worst amount of them.
Absolutely, Lady Quimby. Gasman's honor.
Very well then, let's hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspear, has been stealing gas.
Yes, my lord, it'll be my pleasure. On the Alamont gas...
I want to read the bit that.
On the Alamont gas name, I swear.
If I may, my lord. If I may, my lord.
Go ahead, madam.
This worker's testimony might have a significant bearing on the good name of my husband's company. Therefore, I should like to take the stand alongside him in a supervisory role, if you wouldn't mind.
Yahoo! Yo, yeah, sweet us, honey. Yeah.
Very well. As an exception, I shall honor your request. Thank you, my lord.
You wait till the boss gives you an earful. Oh, it's gotta sting, mark my words.
Got a lot of simps in this courtroom.
So you'll both testify to the court on the ground of illegal consumption of Alamont's gas company fuel. Yes, is that clear, my good man?
Clear as Alamont gas, my lady. Which is the clearest in the world.
Do you think the gas has gone to his head, Mr. Sato?
I think the man is just very dedicated employee, Mr. Naruhodo.
No, I don't agree. I think he's insane. You know, if I was in Naruhodo's shoes, I'd just be instantly like, detective, what's this spill? Have you found out what the spill is? Oh, it's tea? Okay, so one of the teacups was spilled. And there's quite a lot there, I would say. Just saying. That's what I'd be pushing first. The Alamont Gas Company's investigation.
I'm proud to be the company's East Brand and branch. Inspector of and meter money collection agent. Alamont gas meters accept tuppenny bits, each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas.
And yeah, the meter in Mr. Shamspear's room didn't have a single coin in it. The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with. Though. The meter doesn't seem to have been tampered with, though, and the collection agent has the only key.
Somehow, he's been using the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not fee, then what is?
I mean, why are we going to be going against this? I mean, it proves that he's a thief.
Please, pray forgive the discourtesy, but the irrelevance of this testimony caused me to turn to my hallowed chalice.
What do you mean by that remark, Lord Glenseeks? Why can't you just get over your addiction?
The mustache Nibbanese poisoned the gangling excuse for an actor, or didn't he? That's all that should be concerned to this court. And yet we must listen to this abhorrence. I'm going to domestically abuse my wife when I get home. I'm great at throwing things and hitting the face of things. Clearly, that separates the vast British Empire and your Eastern Island nation more than the geographical distance.
But this could turn out to be crucial testimony. The cross-examination must go ahead.
I fucking hate all of you. Do what you will.
Lord Van Zeeks appears to be in a violent mood.
Yes, he does. Maybe losing twice to some random dude that barely has a lawyer's education must really fucking hurt, must it? Haven't we told him that yet? I'm sure he figured it out later. Oh, it must hurt. An attempted poisoning and an incident of gas theft with no supporting evidence. It's true that they would appear completely unrelated at first glance. But I wonder, the truth tends to be buried in the most unusual places. And the first step of uncovering it will be to establish just who and what this man really is. So these two. The Alamont Gas Company investigation. Right. Proud to be an East End branch. Investigate money collecting agent. So does that mean you enter people's houses in order to empty their gas meters?
That I do. Had to try to catch people while they're in, then ask permission to come inside and do my business.
Does that mean that you've been to Natsume's room before, as well as that of Mr. Shamspeare?
Well, now, interesting that you should bring that up, because I couldn't believe how little money was in the meter. I mean, how the pair of them could survive the winter's beyond me. It really is.
Knowing Mr. Natsume, he probably spends all his gas money on books.
And when he's finished reading them, he probably burns them for the warmth.
You would kindly reiterate your statement about the gas meters themselves, Mr. Meterman. Not much to say, really, but if you wish.
Well, my gas accepts pennies, pence. So all London houses have a gas supply that are fitted with these gas meters, are they?
They're in the latest model, the height of technology, developed by our company, Alamont Gas. And anyone who uses our gas will have to use one of these meters in their property, yes.
So if a 3p coin gives 2 hours of gas, most people would use just about 3 coins in a night?
A bit more than that, usually. If they have both gas lights and a gas stove, that is.
Thinking about it, so Seki-san doesn't have a fireplace in his room, does he?
Some people still choose to use candles, of course. And only have gas for heating. Ah yes, I do remember the candles in Mr. Natsume's room, actually.
And how does the money in the meter go back to you at the gas company? Yeah.
Every 3 days, gasmen like me visit properties on the gas supply and empty the meters of coins.
I must say that the design and manufacture of these new meters cost the company an awful lot of money. But happily, I did put a stop to people not paying their dues, for the most part.
Ah, because they had to pay in advance, you mean?
Yes, exactly right. And yet, the meter in the Shakespeare's room didn't have a single coin in it.
Out of interest, how long has this been going on?
Weeks and weeks. He's been pinching gas off us for ages.
And you've examined the meter?
And you've examined the meter in Mr. Shakespeare's room, I take it? Naturally. We took it off the wall and went over it with a fine-tooth comb.
And found nothing suspicious at all, I presume.
No, I'm afraid we didn't. Which is exactly why I examined the new type of meter demanded a new type of meter to be produced.
If I had to guess, what is actually happening is Mr. Gary Debs stealing the money, essentially. That's what I'm guessing, since he's so interested in the gas.
One with an indestructible lock. The Shakespeare Special.
Sounds like it would cost an awful lot than 3 penny pences.
But even after all that, the rascal's meter was still empty.
I'll never forget this humiliation. When I opened up the money box, I found it there. You know what? You what? I said, you what? And then he look on his face, the smarmy smile of his. I pulled the meter straight off the wall and took it back to the office. And you know what? Nothing. Not a trace of being jimmied open anywhere. Not a single sign. And what's happening to my salary as a result? Down by 3 shillings a day. That's what.
A life-threatening situation in a number of ways. Incidentally, what became of the meter?
Nothing became of it. I've still got it.
Oh?
Right here.
No wonder they call you the meter man.
You think it'd be prudent to the court to sequester the item while the trial is ongoing?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Let's take a looky at that. Nothing on the back. Oh, I've already found it. Oh, what's this?
You spotted something, Mr. Naruhodo?
Just here on the little... There's a little hole, do you see?
Goodness, you're right. I wouldn't have noticed.
It's quite literally the only hole on the bottom. It's not a very neat hole, is it? Not professionally made, I'd say.
So you think it might have been opened up by Mr. Shakespeare?
Possibly. It also seems that the people at Alamont Gas must have missed it. Somehow! God damn it. This is a bit too far beyond... What's it called? It's like the amount you can take before... It's just too much. I can't believe they would have missed this if they went over it with a fine-tooth comb. It's literally right underneath the money area, isn't it?
It suddenly seems to go all the way through to the inside.
Yes, there's no way a coin would fit through here.
That is true, but even so, it seems more than a little suspicious.
So if money doesn't go out, then that means something goes in to mess with the gas thing? Very sturdy looking padlock, isn't it?
And the money box is sealed with beeswax too.
So if Mr. Sholmes were to get up to any mischief, he'd have been found out immediately.
Mr. Naruhodo, mischief of what kind? Of that kind is not the sort of thing Mr. Sholmes would.
You know you didn't finish that sentence, don't... You know you didn't finish that sentence, don't you?
Well, anyway. It's understandable that the gas company would want to safeguard its money that's rightfully theirs.
But doesn't it feel a little over the top, doesn't it? Let's get it back to a normal point. I don't see anything else. Nothing in the pipes here. Okay. We found a hole. Although at first glance it does appear to have anything unusual about it. Let's move this along, shall we? No testimony. Those of us say that it has much value as the contents of that meter.
Ugh. The meter does appear to have been tampered with, though.
Bro, fucking... Do I even fucking wait? Do I even do any more pressing? I'm sorry, but this is the most blatant failure here.
Objection.
Seriously? Lady Alamont, I'm afraid to say that the meter clearly does show signs of being tampered with.
What?
Get away! I've been over that thing. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it.
In that case, what do we have to say about the small hole that's been made at the base of the coin box?
Hole? What?
You're right. You're quite right. There's a little hole there. The meters aren't supposed to have that. None of them. The others do.
In other words, we can assume that Mr. Shamspeare secretly opened a hole for himself.
Yes, I wouldn't be all surprised, but why?
Yeah, why? I mean, it's tiny. You couldn't get a farthing through that.
Lady Alamont, I wonder if you could give the court some details about the meter's design.
What sort of details?
Well, what I'd like to specifically know is... that's actually kind of difficult. How it differentiates coins is actually kind of interesting, but dismantle is also interesting too. I suppose one is stating specifically that the idea that he was doing a dismantling thing, which I don't think's the case. But I think more it differentiates coins, so he never used coins to begin with. How does the meter tell the difference between different types of coins?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, for example, if someone put 1 penny in the coin, it wouldn't work, presumably, would it?
No, of course not.
So, well, how does the meter know that the coin that's been fed is a Trump penny bit?
Ah, I see what you're getting at now. The meter tells the coins apart by the shape and size, which includes the thickness. A Trump penny bit is about 3/4 an inch in diameter, you see. Other coins just won't fit.
Ah, I see. So it's very clearly been well thought out.
The witness will amend her formal testimony with the information that the case has permitted.
As you wish, my lord.
Nothing else will fit. Did I get the right one, or is this wrong? Because I'm not sure what else he'd use. But conversely then, wouldn't it seem that anything matching a 3p coin exactly in terms of diameter and thickness could it equally be used? Would that be true?
Well, yes, in a way. The weight comes to a certain extent as well.
We thought that through, though, anyway. If I find any fake coins in the coin box and I enter the meter, the contract says the customer has to pay 100 times the amount they diddled as a fine. We live for the moments like that. Us gasmen do. Live for them. It would seem the gas company has thought of everything. Woohoo! Hurrah for gas! Hurrah! For cash! Alamont all the way!
Ugh. Doing his voice is kind of difficult now.
That's quite enough of that.
Remind me how big a Trump penny bits.
About 3/4 of an inch across. What do you think, Mr. Naruto? What do you think of those measurements, This 2 centimeters measurement significance? Or perhaps another aspect of the meter's construction we should be focusing on.
Maybe right. Wait. I'm actually being given like a separate route here, I think, which is interesting. But what about this? Oh, look at this bar of soap. There's a circular depression on this side, about 2 centimeters across.
3/4 of an inch. Do you think?
We might find it. We did find the soap here in the scene, didn't we?
Yes, there were 2 bars of on the little ledge outside the window, so we took this one. I'm sure that when we first found it, there was some sort of reddish medallion in the middle of there, was it? I can't really clearly remember.
Yes, but there's no sign of it now. Where could it have gone? Oh, and it melts away. It's something that disappears after a while. Okay. I got it. That's actually pretty clever. So if I had to guess, it's possibly wax. If I had to guess. Maybe?
Objection.
Haha. Let me just confirm something here. If the diameter and thickness were to be correct, the meter would accept any object as if it were a thrump penny bit. A thrump penny bit? I'm gonna say thrump. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, by something of coincidence, while we were investigating Mr. Shamspeare's room, we found a particular item that matches the dimensions perfectly.
Something the same size as a thrump penny bit? What was it?
The item in question is this.
What? Have you been hailing gas? That's a bar of soap.
It certainly looks nothing like a thrump penny bit, I must say. I must say.
It looks like I'm gonna have to point out exactly where I mean here. So what's important about the soap? It's this part here. Wow. Bam.
Got it! I got it right here! Underneath the desk.
You just have to turn off the soap and see what I mean.
Ah! Are you referring to this round depression in the middle of the soap here?
That's right. A depression that's approximately 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Or in other words, almost exactly the same size as a thruppenny bit.
Get away! Get away! Does anyone present have a possession of a thrustpenny bit? Quickly now, hand over your coins, ladies and gentlemen.
Sounds rather like a highway robbery, doesn't it?
Are we gonna see one?
Thanks to the kind member in the public gallery, I have here a thrumpenny bit. Now, let's see if it fits.
We don't have 3 pence coins. At least not anymore.
My word! It could be more snug!
Yes, as I suspected. This is without a doubt a vital clue as to explaining how Alamont Gas Company is being defrauded.
Well, I don't believe it!
You're not explaining shit.
So your assertion amounts to what? So some inferior boss soap has a tentative connection with a theft of gas? Yes. The depression in the soap was clearly made by a thruppenny bit.
I must concur at least. What pushing a coin with some force into some poor quality bar of soap such as this? It's a remarkably simple way of replicating the coin's shape.
And then you could use, well, some melted wax or something to pour into the mold. You could make fake coins in no time.
This brings all the pieces of the puzzle together. It's the method that Mr. Shamspear has been using to steal the gas. That's the missing link. And now, if I follow the chain I thought of, it's going to lead me to a new explanation for what happened that nobody's considered yet.
But this sounds nonsense. If the man had been making fake coins, my worker would have found them when he emptied the meter. Quite true, Lady Alamont. In the presence of some black magic, that would make them disappear.
I see. That's what we're dealing with, is it? There's one form of black magic that could cause the fake coins to disappear into thin air, yes.
Exactly. And the meter here gives it away.
What on earth?
There are remnants of the magical method used visible on the gas meter taken from the victim's room.
If that's your assertion, Counsel, the defense will identify these remnants for the court at once.
What on earth?
On the meter, can the remnants of the method be used can make the fake coins disappear be seen?
Obviously, it's the small hole. We found this bar of soap at the scene of the crime just outside the victim's window.
Outside?
Yes, outside, where you yourself, Mr. Meterman, were loitering in the freezing winter air. That's where we found this soap.
Ah, I get it.
That's right. The answer, of course, is ice. Oh, ice. Not... I thought she said, like, weight is something, but I guess ice can be weighted. Okay. That's better than wax, I guess. I mean, I thought, like, put wax in and then just melt it. But it makes more sense, I guess.
Did you say ice?
Mr. Shamspear has been leaving soap like this outside his window for each evening, filled with water. After the night outside in the bitter cold, the water has been completely frozen solid the next morning. Then he takes the fake coins of ice and feeds them into the gas meter, giving him light and warmth in spades. And his room becomes very uncomfortably warm. The ice now inside the meter coin box melts. In the meter's coin box melts, turning back into water and draining harmlessly away through the small hole made in the underside of the meter. I think it would make more sense if... I think the game would have been better if they made that hole on the bottom way smaller. Like, scratch is still around it, but so small that it would be difficult to notice, but the scratches would, like, draw you to it. At least I feel like that would make more sense. And draining harmlessly away through the small hole made in the underside of the meter. That's how, without leaving any evidence of his wrongdoings, this man has been stealing Alamont gas.
Well, just like that, so simply. Is this man is he trying to make us look like idiots? He's been fooling us with some bars of soap and some water?
That's right, madam.
I don't believe it. It can't be true. Do you have any idea how much money we've spent to develop that new meter? And now you have the audacity to suggest that a bit of soap and some water can render it totally useless?
I'm fairly sure I didn't design it.
Evidence.
Sorry?
I want evidence. If you're gonna stand there and tell me that the meters are rubbish, I want to see proof. She's very good at enforcing accountability, isn't she?
Oh, so that's what was under the gas meter. It was water. Okay. Very well, Lady Galamont. If you'd like to see evidence, I'll provide it.
What? Mr. Naruhodo, are you saying do you actually have evidence to support the theory?
I didn't notice a trace of something that bothered me a little at the time. And I have a feeling that this theory we've come up with now could explain it. The piece of evidence that substantiates the theory about how Mr. Shamster has been stealing gas is... photograph! This photograph of the crime scene at the point when the victim was discovered, taken by Inspector Gregson. And it clearly shows that the remnants of the crime scene carried out by Mr. Shamspear. What remnants? Big old paddle, big old paddle, big old paddle. Here you can see the gas meter on the wall with Mr. Shamspear in Mr. Shamspear's room. Now you can closely look at the floorboards directly underneath the meter.
What is that? Some kind of grubby stain?
It's almost certainly, it's a water stain, resulting from the liquid being drained out of the hole made in the meter.
Ah!
If one coin gives around 2 hours of gas usage, then the occupant was heating the room in all his waking hours, which I could imagine could have used around 10 of his fake coins each day. The melting ice inside the meter's coin box, would have been dripping out almost consistently, leaving a stain on the floor.
This is awful.
And there's further evidence too. Mr. Shamspear slumped over the table, apparently having consumed strychnine. And right there next to him, it's a bar of soap, broken in half.
You're right. It would appear to me, Counsel, that the man was eating soap, was he?
I'm going to talk about how stupid you are. Pardon me for disagreeing with you, Lordship, but certainly not.
He didn't beat around the bush there, didn't he?
Wow, for once. In truth, Mr. Shamspear was found with a fork in hand.
A meal of soap is sounding increasingly like...
He's sounding increasingly like Lord Van Zeek's.
Do you mean to say he's using that fork to...
Yes. To extract frozen coins from his bars of soap.
But the bar broke in half. So perhaps it didn't go very well.
Good gracious. Good gracious!
Shut up!
You invalids.
Lord Van Zeek's.
I was throwing my hands up in despair and happened to catch my hollowed bottle on the way. Pray forgive the maladroit mistake.
What is the meaning of this, Counsel?
Allow me to pose my learned friend a question. What exactly did you establish with your most recent cross-examination?
Well...
Mr. Williams Shamspear is a liar and a thief. In other words, his testimony is unreliable.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Very well, let's assume the man is a liar. Now then, posing me another question. Let me pose another question. What possible difference does it make?
Well,
We know the suicide can be discounted. Scotland Yard's investigation revealed no trace of the vessel contained poison. And on the night in question, there was no other visitors in the room except the accused. The young gasman's testimony, which we have no reason to doubt, can confirm that. Furthermore, the only possible way for the poison to have entered the victim's body is via the tea. The court has no evidence whatsoever to suggest otherwise. Even if William Shakespeare is a liar as you claim him to be, the facts have been objectively established. There's no escaping it.
Oh, you can't hurt me like that.
Therefore, in light of these facts,
You know what? Give it to Van Zieks. He's not like physically attacking the defense attorney. Yeah, give him that at least. All the other prosecutors love to attack the defendants.
the prosecution calls for immediate adjudication.
You... What?
Order! Order! Well, counsel, how does the defense respond?
Mr. Naruhodo?
How about this? He took the poison as suicide and then chucked it out somewhere else. I don't fucking know. Seriously? You really think that this is just easy win for you, Van Zieks? What's the point of the last cross-examination? Did it actually get us anywhere? Or did it make no difference at all, like Lord Van Zieks is saying? I'ma raise an objection. No, this isn't over. The defense will not rest.
What?
But, counsel, you've successfully explained everything. You've identified this unsubstantiated and unscrupulous method employed by Mr. Shakespeare to consume gas. What more is there to discuss?
Lord Van Zieks just highlighted 3 facts in order to make his point. But contrary to what he would have the court believe, not all of them have been objectively established at all.
What are you trying to say, my Nipponese friend?
At least one of these so-called facts is an assumption made due to lack of evidence. But the situation has changed now, following the cross-examination of the last witnesses to take the stand.
Don't be absurd. What is this nonsense?
Yes, when you bring everything we've learned so far together and consider it as a whole, it's clear. The question we need to now to reconsider is namely, was there another visitor? Was the poison in the tea? Was someone else responsible? Poison in the tea, right? Although, due to lack of evidence, right? The poison in the tea, due to lack of evidence, they can't be sure of that. And we specifically said a lack of evidence. The possibility of another visitor was... It was like the meter dude's already stated that he saw no one else go into the room. Was someone else responsible? That's a bit too vague, I think. Yeah, poison in the tea. We've all been led to believe that the strychnine poison that affected Mr. Shakespeare was in the tea brought with him by Mr. Natsume, but that is conjecture at best.
The victim has testified that nothing else passed his lips that night. There is no other possibility. And since there was no trace of tea left at the scene, it couldn't be tested for traces of poison.
As I said, the situation has changed because in fact, some of Mr. Natsume's tea was left at the scene. A particular piece of evidence proves it.
A ludicrous claim. Scotland Yard detectives investigated the scene exclusively. What evidence are you suggesting they missed?
The defense has made a bold claim indeed. Very well, counsel. Present your proof. What evidence from the scene of the crime tells us the nature of the defendant's tea?
Are we to assume that instead of water, he used tea? I actually don't know about this. It's a bit vague, the question. The evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea. Is it because there's a rim? That means that there must be at least... I mean... I think maybe we are getting at the water at the bottom is actually tea.
Take that!
Nope. I feel like Naruhodo's kind of pushed on ahead without me a little. Is it in the meter box? No, I don't think it's the meter box. Is it the teacups? Oh, I got it. I got it. When we first looked at that soap, there was a red spot. It was a red spot, not a white one. Or a clear one. That's actually pretty clever. And it actually makes you have to remember it. That's the thing.
Good gracious. But the soap bar again? The same bar that was the victim used to fashion his coins of ice?
And I'm fairly certain it says... discovered outside. No, it doesn't say that there was a red spot there, but the examining it does. I wish... maybe that is a bit too vague. Like, maybe mention it one spore spot... a red spot or something. That's right, my lord. It just come back to me. Something about when we first found this bar of soap in the scene yesterday.
It's more bars of soap.
Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on the ledge outside the window? So he used the tea to make coins? It's weird. I'm quite certain that when we originally stumbled upon these bars of soap, that there was actually a frozen coin in each bar.
So you discovered the gas thief's coin factory. Fascinating.
In a way, yes. But there's more. The coins we found in the soap at the time weren't normal ice.
There was something strange about them, you mean?
Exactly. Something very obviously strange. They were red.
Ice was red? No, you mean...
That's right. It's obvious to me now. The fake coins in the soap were made from frozen tea.
What?
I would remind the court of the statement made by Mr. Natsume early in the trial.
That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shamspeare's room as a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night. I bought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. I'll never touch tea again. Ah! Ah, yes, I believe that there had been snowfall that day. It was particularly cold. Sadly, on such occasions, where poorly constructed water mains in the East End are prone to freezing.
So on the night in question, Mr. Shamspear, having no running water to use, was forced to use tea brought by Mr. Natsume in order to make his fake coins.
My word!
I see. So he had no more water. Okay, that's actually clever. So Shamspear had no means of getting water besides relying on snow. I mean, I guess he could have just picked up a bunch of snow, melted it, then used that, maybe, or waited it for it to melt, but yeah. I suppose it makes more sense that he would use on-hand tea. There were 2 bars of soap on the window ledge when my judicial assistant and I investigated the scene.
That's right, and we only borrowed one of them.
Which means that even as we speak, some of the defendant's tea is still present at the scene of the crime. Frozen solid in a bar of soap outside Mr. Shamspear's window.
Extraordinary!
Earlier today, Inspector Gregson informed the court that even if 1 drop of tea remained, Scotland Yard would be able to analyze it for poison. As such, we are now in a position to prove or disprove what has until now been mere conjecture, by finding out for sure whether or not Mr. Natsume's tea actually contains citronide at all.
Ah, you smug Nipponese.
My lord, can you shut up? We cannot do the defendant the injustice of passing judgment now. The police should be dispatched to recover the remaining bar of soap from the scene at once, and the defense requests that a thorough analysis of the frozen tea be embedded in it to determine whether or not it can contain any poison.
Bailiff! Bailiff! Instruct the police to attend the scene at once.
Yes, my lord. Understood.
Yes, my lord, understood.
Uh-huh.
It would seem we have no choice but to suspend these proceedings for the time being. I trust that you have no objections, Lord Van Zeeks.
None, my lord.
Scotland Yard will recover the tea from the scene and carry out the requisite tests immediately. The trial will resume in the same hour tomorrow. The prosecution and the defense may conduct further investigations as appropriate in the interim.
Yes, my lord. Well, we're having 2 days of trial instead of just a 1 long one. Okay. Well, we managed to scrape through there somehow.
Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned until tomorrow.
Interesting.
To be continued.
So yeah, multiple days of court. We'll go a little bit into this. It's still only 2 hours of streaming, right? It's 22nd of February, 1:11 p.m. Narhoda's Legal Consultancy. Why is it so empty? Whew, we made it back in one piece. Just to be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished in there for a while. Did I skip something? No.
Oh, I know. What a lot of close shaves. There's so many carriages on the street of London. You were nearly flattened several times.
I suppose they haven't done the setting things up yet. Oh, no, I didn't mean that.
Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense from Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you.
Oh, thank you.
And now your fervent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time. Let us see if we can find a new clue for court tomorrow.
Yes, let's do that.
Is everything alright?
I suppose. I can't quite believe it myself. I can't quite believe it, that's all. That I'm here in London, England, working as a lawyer, I mean. In the Old Bailey, no less. The truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma.
It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him.
Yes, I mean, I never had the chance to ask him exactly why, but he certainly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him.
And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I have no doubt that Kazuma-sama would have said exactly the same if he were with us.
Thank you, Susato-san. Thank you. Aw. Little chill out session with Susato. It was quite a shock earlier today, wasn't it? When the victim himself turned up in court and took the stand?
I know.
Not only that, but then finding out he was actually a barefaced gas thief as well.
Yes, that was certainly a surprise to us all. For a while, it seemed as though everyone had quite forgotten about Soseki-san's poisoning the tea.
Careful of your phrasing, Susato-san. He didn't poison anything. And there's more to this that Mr. Shamspear than we have yet to know. I'm sure of it.
Mr. Shamspear certainly hasn't the noble, upstanding man. Wasn't the noble, upstanding man everyone thought he was at first.
What's become of him, actually?
I was told that he'd be returning to the hospital ward where he'd be receiving treatment.
Oh, which one is that?
Let me see. Is gonna die hospital. Let me see. Yes, it's in St. Bartholomew's, or Bart's, as Londoners call it.
We know the place, don't we?
Yes, we visited Miss Green there yesterday. It's the same hospital to which she was taken.
So he was, besides, with, a thing that said, don't let him move around, and he was moving around, I guess. No, that was before the body was moved. Okay. Ah, yes, after Soseki-san stabbed her in the back.
You be careful on your phrasing, Miss Naruhodo-san. He didn't stab anyone.
Perhaps we both owe Soseki-san an apology. St. Bartholomew's. Yes, we should probably visit the hospital later. Let's present some stuff before talking more, because I don't want her to, like, move on without us.
You've been wearing that ever since we arrived in Great Britain, haven't you?
Well, it sort of shows that I'm a lawyer, so it seems appropriate.
I'm not quite sure what it means much. It means much in this country, though, I'm afraid.
I wouldn't say that. It might not be official, but it looks official. Often when police stop me, I just show them this and they leave me alone.
You just stop by the police? Often?
Well, you know, I'm a suspicious foreigner, dressed in all black with a sword at my side.
I don't think it's probably the sword is the main reason. Why are you trying to make this a race thing, Naruhodo? Still, it makes me happy to see you wearing it. And the armband.
Yes, I made up my mind that I'll carry them always. The symbol of who I am. And the sword, Karuma. Seth-san, what do you make of this?
Oh dear, what indeed?
If you don't know what, really, then don't say anything. I won't hold it against you. Right, Blair Road. Probably nothing, right? Yep. I just want to get all the dialogue from Susato, because I love her. She's a great assistant. It's true that we have a lot of evidence that hasn't been looked into yet. Susato-san, what do you make of this?
Ah yes, the soap we found on the ledge outside Mr. Shamspeare's blocked-up window.
Since we discovered him poisoned, I've been scared to wash my hands. I keep thinking this foul soap is going to be the end of me.
Well, the soap's bad name was cleared in the end, wasn't it?
I suppose so. But I'm still worried about it. I think it would be safer to just never wash my hands again.
I think you haven't thought that through. You will wash your hands, Naruhodo-san. You will.
Teacups. Nope. Crime scene? Nope. Medical report? Nope. Gas meter?
Unless you put points into the meter, of course, it won't give you any gas.
British really have some really chilling inventions, don't they?
Sorry?
Well, you could die on a cold winter's night if you weren't able to light your stove.
I suppose in a way, one little coin could make the difference between life and death.
Personally, I'd break the meter and find a way to light the stove somehow.
Oh no! The meter might explode if you were to tamper with it, Naruhodo-san.
The gas companies have it all buttoned up, don't they? Ugh. Anyway, what's next? So, what do we know? We know that Soseki-san took the tea to the victim on the night in question. But if he isn't the culprit, then obviously...
Yes, the poison surely wasn't in the tea.
But if that's the case, how on earth did the poison get into Mr. Shamspeare's body?
I'm sure we'll find a clue at the scene. There must be something in Mr. Shamspeare's room that will help us solve the mystery.
Well, naturally, Scotland Yard's detectives have been all over that place already. But it couldn't hurt for us to take another look around, I think.
Definitely. And I'm desperate to know the outcome of the investigation into the tea left by the bar of soap.
Well, if we run into Inspector Gregson, we'll ask him about that. Kazuma's wishes. Kazuma Asagi. My best friend I ever had. And a lawyer with such promise. He really saved my bacon in that horrible incident just before we left Japan. I can still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And then after the trial, that crazy idea he came up with. As a stowaway? Yes, I think you can fit inside my trunk if you curl up in small enough. I'm sure no one else will know. Kazuma, won't you tell me why? Why do you go to such lengths so I can accompany you to Great Britain? Well, it's been on my mind ever since we got through that trial, that you really ought to go into law and be a defense lawyer. You've got a natural talent for it, believe me. I guarantee it. But I've never even thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, I can't force you, obviously. You'd have to decide for yourself. But anyway, London is the cultural capital of the world, and it's the city at the forefront of everything. It can't hurt for you to see it with your own eyes. No, that's true. I suppose, though, if you were to become a lawyer, then one day... One day what? Oh, no. Never mind. We're all gonna be vague today and every other day.
Naruhodo-san?
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about Kazuma.
Yes, he's forever in my thoughts too. To change the Japanese judicial system for the better. That was his dream. And that's why he so desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course.
Yes, that's right. But...
Yes? I do wonder if his
true intentions lie elsewhere sometimes. I don't know. The thought that just takes hold of me every now and then, that's all.
Naruhodo-san, what do you mean by Kazuma-sama's true intentions?
I mean this.
His katana?
I never expected to inherit the sword after Kazuma passed away, of course.
No, I know. It's because I asked you to take it.
When I have it at my side in court, I feel as though it gives me courage.
Yes.
Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little about the sword. Karuma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down for generations of the Asagi clan. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels the wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. Something you have to do? Yes. I appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down.
What did he mean by something very important that I have to do?
I'd hoped to get that answer out of him. The answer to that question would have become apparent when we first arrived here, but as yet, I've not found a single clue.
I see.
Well, that's everything. Let's get a little look-see at... I'm not looking at the ladder. We'll gotta look at the spade, though. Perhaps we should put the spade away somewhere.
That's not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It's a shovel.
No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
No, spades are for digging. That's scooping up loose material. It's a shovel.
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
You're so right, Naruhodo-san. We must not quarrel over trifles.
On reflection, then, I think I'll leave this spade where it is.
Yes, I think that's for the best. We may need a shovel when we're working in the garden.
I like that. It's actually pretty cute. Nick and Maya would constantly argue about stepladders. But them two are just like, we'll both see different things. Doesn't matter, really. This is freaking Susata's room, isn't it? I heard there's another room behind that door.
Yes, it's my bedroom, Naruhodo-san, as you well know.
Shall I help you unpack your things?
That's very kind, but no thanks.
The luggage looks so heavy. Are you sure you can? I can't help you move it?
That's very kind, but really, no thank you. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know.
The only secret I have is the 5-yen banknote hidden on the back side of my Daruma doll. Okay. These tanks are for keeping sea creatures. They're called aquariums, and they are all the rage in London at one time, apparently.
Yes, the English are so clever coming up with an idea of having ocean life on display at the home.
And it means you have to always have an emergency midnight feast on hand, too.
I'm not sure that's really the idea.
Oh, Naruhodo was thinking about eating them. You silly Japanese. Anyway, that's pretty much everything. Let's go ahead and move into Sherm's suite. Iris is not sat at her thing.
Oh, Bruno, Susie! Hooray, you're back! Hello, Iris. We're in fine spirits. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am! And you look as immaculately presented as ever, Susie. Oh, you flatter me. Well, you couldn't have come at a better time. I've made a pot of tea and set some cups.
Really? Thanks, Iris. But actually, what is that foul smell? Ah, the wanderers return at last. Where on earth have the pair of you been? We've, been in court? Oh, for Mr. Mustache's case? That was today, was it?
I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm sure you think you did. Well, we can laugh about it now. So tell me, how did the trial go? Reasonably well so far. We managed to escape without a guilty verdict, at least. Really? I'd have liked to have seen it. And I must pass the time of day with the Mr. Reaper again. It's been so long. Is Lord Van Zeeks an acquaintance, Mr. Sholmes? Naturally. There's not a person in the world who doesn't know the name of my name, Naruhodo. Not quite what I asked, but still.
Mr. Sholmes? Whatever is that odor?
Yes, what is that? It's faint, but it's absolutely awful. Ah, indeed. That's the scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science.
Oh dear.
Alright, I'll bite. What's he up to now? Before that, I'm going to take a look-see around. He's got his machine, he's got his cello. Everything looks the same. I'm not going to go through it all again. It's too much. I'm instead going to present him with some sings, see what he says about them. Gotta present the badge to everyone. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, about this. Shh, not another word. Ah, yes, I see. This would be a collar for oh, I've already seen this. Okay, what do you think about the soap thing? I believe you tried to eat some soap once, didn't you? True, yes, I had a theory that it may cleanse the inside of my digestive system, you see. Was it particularly dirty, do you think? Indeed it was, for I mistakenly imbibed some ink at the time, assuming it to be coffee. I must cleanse this at once, I thought to myself. Quite logically, I thought. Only you could have had an antidote about swallowing... You could have had an antidote about swallowing soap. Only you could have an antidote about swallowing soap. Teacups. Ah yes, the crockery of the failed Trespian and the mustachioid boxworm. Is mustachioid really a word? It's a really weird one. His name is Mr. Soseki Natsume. You really should try to remember it. You're right. After all, I've entrapped the man twice now. Yes, the deeply mischievous bookworm has deeply malicious mustache.
Oh dear, I'm not sure about that, but a deeply misfortuned mustache, perhaps.
That too, the mustache must indeed is indeed misfortune, but only because of it is malicious. Whatever.
Oh, what wonderful reasoning, Mr. Sholmes. You've won me over yet again.
I guess Soseki then. About this, I'm not going to entertain you, you dumbass. Nope, he's not going to say anything else. Alright. Alright, what's going on? Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. Lord Baron Von Zeeks. Yes, that's an interesting sorbet, isn't he? He has, isn't he? The Reaper of the Bailey. Once a legendary prosecutor, has fought with someone's conviction, then the person is doomed. Even he or she is found not guilty by the courts, sooner or later the hapless soul will vanish into the capital. But vanish how exactly? By falling under the passing carriage, or drowning in the Thames, or succumbing to a sudden fever, or quite out of the blue, being set upon by highwaymen. There are numerous routes to one's final terminus, my dear fellow. It all seems a little far-fetched, really. Well, on the bright side, Mr. Moustache is fighting fit, for the time being at least. That's not overly reassuring.
If the rumors are true, though, the obvious conclusion would surely be that the most acquitted are, well, by Lord Van Zeek's own hands.
As it happens, Miss Susato, that is quite impossible.
Oh? Why?
Naturally, the man is very quickly came under such suspicion. However, whenever these incidents occurred, the Reaper always had a cast-iron alibi. Really? And so his reign continued, but 5 years ago, he vanished from the courts, never to be appear as a court prosecutor again. That is, until you arrived in the country, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, so I've heard. In fact, it was the very day I arrived and I was thrusted into that trial at the Old Bailey. A bitter fight to the death conceded with the Reaper's resurrection. Coincided. Yeah. And really did end bitterly indeed. And here you are, facing the Reaper, Mr. Reaper again.
Poor Runo. I don't know if you're just incredibly unlucky or incredibly unlikable.
I think it goes deeper than just me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people. Japanese people! Ugh. With Mr. Natsume, who I'm currently defending being Japanese as well as Miss Susato and myself, I feel it even more keenly in court today. For some reason, Lord Van Zeek seems to have an inherent disdain for the Japanese. Indeed. It is an interesting observation.
Do you know something about it? Do you, Mr. Sholmes?
Time to be weird. It was about 10 years ago that Baron Von Zeek chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closest companion, hailed from the Empire of Japan.
No!
Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes. What happened? I believe I made it clear before. I'm unable to tell you anything about the affair.
Oh, but...
The veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course, I have no doubt. But for now, however, it is Mr. Moustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe. Well, thank you for being vague, as usual. So, what is that indiscriminately bad, foul, disgusting smell? Ah, well, it most likely is probably this, I would say. What is that? My dear fellow, it is, of course, my latest invention. A chemical test that can identify whether or not tea is genuine at a drop of some tea.
Oh my!
There's some unscrupulous sorts manning the stalls along some of London's less frequented streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high-quality tea, but is in fact merely dyed leaves of a drab flavour. Well, that's certainly unsavory behavior. So when one is presented with what appears to be a black tea, one must be careful. Iris!
At the ready, Hurley.
Sorry, I'm not doing the voices as good today. It's more because I've already just went through an entire trial with it. Let us add a drop of the chemical to the capid tea here. Do you see what happens? It turns black. It's turned completely black.
What a foul odor it's giving off.
Indeed. The blacker the tea becomes, the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It would appear that this cup was particularly fine Darjeeling. That's very ingenious, but what do you have to do with the black liquid now? Why, dispose of it naturally. Surely you wouldn't drink it now, would you?
There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with the new invention, Mr. Shelms.
Hence why the chemical test is merely a test, my dear madam. Right. The point is, we are entering a new era of science! In the world of criminal investigation, also.
Yes, forensic science. Oh, these are such exciting times.
I regularly engage in this scientific examination along with my unofficial consulting detective work. The Sherlock-Holmes method will be the foundation upon which the modern investigative techniques is based. This little tea incident was a happy byproduct of my ongoing forensic science research. Forensic science. I suppose I could find out more about that. Can I have a little bit? So, your tea test. Is that an example of forensic science? Indeed it is. An essential tool in cases that hinge on the knowledge of whether some tea is high or inferior quality. It's not a huge number of cases, then. Perhaps a more practical example is required? Fingerprints? Not yet accepted in our courts for evidence, might I add. Really, we are dragging our heels here. I haven't even heard of them until recently. Which is particularly why I undertake research in this field myself, of course.
Does that mean you're stuttering fingerprints, Mr. Shelms?
There's some others in the field already, and I abhor the company of inferior minds. No, what I'm researching is skin prints. Skin prints? A non-molecular of my own design, as in this chemical agent makes it possible. It'll instantly reveal objects touched by whichever person is under investigation.
Brilliant, Mr. Shelms.
As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black. Yep. I assure you, my dear fellows, you will witness my forensics talents in action very soon. Indeed. Well, we're done with you. Get dressed and get out. Well, I think we should head back to the scene and see if we can uncover any new clues.
That's the spirit, Runo. See you later.
Yes, until later. No, Mr. Shelms, we were thinking you could come along with us. You were? Of course! You said so just a moment ago. You said we'd witness your forensic talents in action. Ah, yes, I do recall something along those lines. But before you go on ahead, I shall be sure to follow you later. In all likelihood, probably, maybe, well, I might. Your commitment astounds me.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Shelms. We'll be eagerly waiting your arrival. Bye-bye, Runo. Bye-bye, Susie.
Oh. Iris is quite a gem, isn't she? Okay. Where are we going now? We basically hit the 3rd hour of the video. If I had to guess, we've got the rest of the investigation and the trial, which I think will all come together in the next time we play, right? I suppose we can go on a bit further, maybe just to see. Hospital bed where Bart is occupied by Miss Olive Green, who sustained a serious injury during the incident on Blair Road. Incident, ground floor, Shamspeare's room. Suppose we'll go chronological order. Miss Green's room first, and see Mr. Shamspeare. Or Olive. You know, I moved past it a while ago when we first came here, but there's a picture there. It's probably a lot more important than I just kind of let it go. St. Bartholomew's Hospital Recovery Ward.
What do you suppose is happening? It sounds like some sort of disturbance.
Yes, I hear angry voices. Oh.
Be not angry, O ample lady. Verily, thou art mistaken. Mistaken, my foot. You were looking at my painting. The eye of a man hath not heard. The eye of man hath not seen. The ear of man hath not seen. Was foul indeed the poison that mustached villain gave of me. Forgive me, lady. I wish you died from that poison. God a mercy, ample lady, but thou seest I have vigour still. Behold my Shamspeare dance! This looks rather ominous, doesn't it?
My god, these two.
Ah, lo! 'Tis the lawyer from the land whence rises the sun. How now?
What are you doing here, Mr. Shamspeare?
Mary, I do believe I am returned onto another ward. He was looking. Well, that was what he was doing, looking at my terrible work.
Eastern fellow, so dark you're clad.
Faith, thy work in court this morning was wonderful. I do applaud thee.
Oh, well, thank you.
But that doesn't mean things will go so wonderfully for you tomorrow, does it?
Oh. Oh, he straightened that out, didn't he? Man, he lost his temper there.
Anon. It stood.
Mr. Shamspeare might technically be the victim in this case, but there's definitely a lot more to it than that. It's really hard to pin that man down.
I'm so sorry. I'm such an awful person.
Ah, Miss Green, is everything alright?
Oh, yes, I mean, don't worry about me.
Okay.
They're about to discharge me, so must be ready to leave now.
Oh, I see.
We're delighted to see that you'll soon be well enough to go home, Miss Green. Oh dear, you're so kind. I don't deserve it.
Alright. First of all, I wanted to talk about this picture. Look, there's a photograph frame here. Doesn't this guy look a little like he's got the face or the head shape of Shamspeare? These two talking as well, right? It feels like they're connected a lot more closer than led to believe, right? I mean, he's theatrical, right? But maybe he's got an artist thing to him. It's not used as evidence, so we can't put too much credence into it, but it's possible. So, are you feeling more like yourself today, Miss Green?
I am. see what I mean. People do recover from ordeals like this, don't they? Even people like me.
Well, yes. It really was an ordeal, wasn't it?
As far as I was concerned, I was just walking down the snow one evening, minding my own business. Then, completely out of the blue, I was stuck in the back with a knife and collapsed unconscious for days. Of course, when I finally woke up again yesterday, the whole business had been cleaned up already. What a terrible week it must have been for you. Oh no, I'm for sure I'm very lucky, really. I look back on this fondly.
Really?
Anyway, I need to get my things together, so now I'm so ready to be discharged.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry to take so much of your time when you're obviously busy. Okay. And there's nothing left for us. Okay. So we got a little look at what Shakespeare looks like when he's a bit more pissed off. I suppose technically we go to Blair Road first. Briar Road. Yep. Nothing's going on here. So let's go into Shakespeare's room first. And see Gregson, me old boy. 22nd of February. Mr. Natsume's lodgings, ground floor. Oh, hello again, Inspector Gregson.
What are you doing here?
Well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually.
The lawyer representing the defendant has the right to examine the scene, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, I know this score.
Oh, yes, one other thing. The soap on the ledge outside of the window. Did you find it, with the tea in it?
Yeah, we found it all right. And there was a small amount of tea in it, as you said.
I knew it.
It was just the identification section at the yard now. They're looking into it. As a result, it'll be available later today.
That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Pretty impressive performance in court this morning.
Sorry?
Nothing. Forget it. And make sure you don't make any more disturbances in here.
A little bit of respect there. And there's Mr. Sholmes. Alright then. I feel like we got a little bit into the investigation. And we'll do the investigation and the trial next time. Let's go ahead and save. Got a little threat from Shakespeare telling us that we're not going to be lucky next time. And clearly something else is going on, and he's clearly got like a villainous thing to him. But if I had to guess, it's possible his little sister, which is most likely Olive. I mean, come on, that picture has to mean some sort of sibilingness to them, and they're fighting. Come on, it's quite possible that they are related. And if his sister had something to do with the poisoning, and he's trying to hide it or something. I don't know. Anyway. Let's go back to the title, save, and be done with it. There we go, that's a better clap. Right. Thank you for watching. Greatest Attorney today. Did the first part of the trial. We finally had a second investigation day, which is beyond surprising. Oh well, it's what I expected from the first game, but I guess they realised that cutting up the trial and the investigations is better because it gives a little more ability for the trial to move in a more well-paced manner. In any case... Oh, didn't mean to do that. I do hope that the later cases aren't recycling as many characters as they clearly have been. Only one of the jurors have been new. Both of the witnesses are new, I guess. Besides Gregson. Van Zeeks is the same. 5 jurors are all the same. It's just like, come on. Give us at least some difference, right? If you're gonna reuse characters, reuse new ones, right? Introduce new characters and then reuse them. That's at least how I see it. Anyway. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and tune in next time. On Saturday, I believe. Yep. Bye-bye!